Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. Welcome to our Mali Ramadan sessions for students. We're here every morning during the month of Ramadan at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is week 3, day 6. We're live on Facebook and we're on the webinar. And tomorrow we'll be on the webinar only. The dial-in number to the webinar is the number you see here, the 857 number. And you have the XX code plus the pound key. That will get you into the conference call. And if you want to share the webinar on your screen, go to muslimadamericanlogic.ning.com, scroll down to class information. You'll see the name Salim Mutman, my name, and click on the highlight. Follow the prompts, and that will get you into the class. Also, you can download free conference call and use the information in the highlight to get into the class. So today we're looking at day 6, and we're going to be looking at Ibn Arabi. Ibn Arabi, his tafsir is a little different than other sources that we have been looking at. We're looking at the grammar sources, particularly Abu Faris, and we had some of the extended grammar by Shawkani on the language, grammar and other aspects of language. And we've looked at Quran bil Quran, and there we would just use a concordance to do the Quran bil Quran, but we could also use it looking at the source of the Raghib Dictionary, Raghib al-Isfahani, the Arabic Quranic Dictionary. We're also looking at other dictionaries, which we've looked at Lisan al-Arab, which is a very well-known dictionary, and we may take a look at Qamus sometime during next week. These are all very important resources that I would say that you would have to have just to do the minimum research in terms of understanding what the Quran is saying, what it is saying. Then we have to look at tafsir work. So we looked at King Fahd, we look at Ibn Kathir. Today we're going to look at Ibn Arabi. And Ibn Arabi, you're going to find, is a little different. He's more philosophical. He gets a little more involved internally in terms of the creation and the functioning of man. This is Ibn Arabi. So let us take a look here. We begin, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qala ya Iblisu ma mana'aka an tasjuda lima khalaqtu biyadayya astakbarta am kunta min al-adin. So I don't think I need to translate this for the students. We're addressing the students. This is the Mahdi Ramadan sessions for students. We're looking at chapter 38, verse 75. 38:75. For those who are interested in the translation, you can go take a look at 3785 with students. So now, here is Ibn Arabi. Lima khalaqtu biyadayya. He's concentrating on yadayya. Up, we have the parentheses here. Up until these parentheses here, he's concentrating on the term yadayya. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And as I go, I'll try to help showing you the reference he's making here. Very interesting. So that is to say, khalaqtuhu bi safati. I created him with the, you could say with the sifa is the attributes. With the two attributes, with my attributes, with the attributes in the plural, with the attributes. And he's given two attributes here because we're talking about the two hands. Al-Jamali wa Al-Jalali. One of beauty and one of loftiness. Two hands, beauty and loftiness. Well, Kahari, you have dominance and you have lutfi, gentleness, refinement. And all of the names that he's given man in his creation of man, he's given man his names, all of the names. So we know we have the popular 99 names of Allah. We call them the attributes, sifa. These names are also given to man. And Allah gives man all of his names, all of man's names. So we say all of the classified corresponding names, like we have the correspondence between the two hands. One of the hands is very dominant, and one of the hands is very gentle. One of the hands is very beautiful, and one of the hands is very lofty. We have these corresponding hands that he informing man, and we talked about the metaphor of hand. And they're corresponding, the work, the creation is being corresponding in the names that he gives man. If I can put it in that light, if you can follow in that sense. And they're all under the attribute of dominance and love. Two corresponding principles operating. Two corresponding descriptions operating. Two corresponding names operating under the umbrella of dominance and love. In order that they attain during the divine Jami'i, the divine comprehension, the divine bringing, as man is being formed and bringing these, all of his attributes together. Yes, Jamia, bringing it all together. Put this divine collectiveness in terms of the makeup of creation. And it's in Ibn Arabi is not easy reading, so I'm trying to give it to you in the most common language I can think of. So this is Allah when this is being done. This is being the occurrence during this process of forming man, putting man together, and perhaps all of creation. And it's done in the presence, in the oneness. I would have to make it make sense. In the oneness of presence, in the presence of oneness. Yes, in the presence of oneness, in this oneness. That man, that Allah is always present with man, or present in the human being, in the human creature. Allah is present, but the human being is not always present with Allah. The human being is not always aware of his presence, of Allah's presence, but Allah is present. They asked, is Allah far away? Is he far away that when we pray to him, when we call, when we make the dua, when we call, shall we shout loud so he will hear us? Or is he near to us that he would hear the slightest whisper in our prayer? He says, tell my servants I am near. I am present. Yes. Seen, but unseen. Yes. Visible, but hidden. Now, let me go back and let me say this for those who have difficulty. Before you get into this type of thinking, this type of literature, this type of class, you have to come through the door with Tanzih. You have to come through the door not having some pantheistic concept in religion that the material world is God. His presence is God. Or keep it simple, shirk. You can't come in with shirk. Yes. So, yes, God's presence. God's presence is in the names because the names come from God. But you are not God. I hope it can make sense to you. So this is in this assembling of man, in the assembly of man, as he comes down the assembly line, if you can imagine, and he's given names. These names he's given, which we've made a big presentation on, the names. All of us have a name. All of us, Allah has placed in us our purpose. We all have our purpose. We all have that one inalienable right that comes from God. And that thing that God has given every individual, just as he had given every individual his own fingerprint. Every fingerprint has a name, separate from all other fingerprints. though they may look alike. And that name coming from God, thereby we're saying that God's presence is always in that name. Yes. And though it's unique, there's always the concept of Tawheed. Every name connects, is tied to every other name. Every person in their individuality is connected to every other person in their individuality under the umbrella of Wahidiyya, oneness. Yes. Unlike the opposite of the condition of the higher assembly. Yes, like the assembly of the angels. They are not formed with two hands. They are formed with one hand. Man, the human being, is formed with two hands. Yes. So whoever is created from them with the attribute of dominance, he's not able to be gentle because he's only formed with one hand. He's not formed with two hands. So he's not able to be deference. Well, Bil-Aksi, and to the contrary. If you're formed with beauty, you're not able to have this loftiness. You can't have beauty and loftiness. You can't be dominant and gentle because you're only formed with one hand. Yes. Man is formed with two hands. I mean, I hope, I don't know, it's a lot to hold. All the sources we've gone through, what we've been saying, I know it's a lot to hold. But this creature that man has made with his two hands, one creation we look at, and this is the creation that Iblis looks at. He sees at first. Then he sees the other creation. There's two hands. The first creation man makes. He creates man the first time with one hand. Then he brings man into another creation. This duality, the two hands, the right and the left, they mutakabila. They correspond. Mutakabila. Like mirror, they mirror each other. They meet each other. You put them together. The thumb meets the thumb, the first finger, they're corresponding. These names are like that. Man is like that. He corresponds. One creation corresponds with the other creation, but they're not the same creation. Two different names, two different aspects. Yes. So Allah says, and that's a little part we missed with the Imam. We have to go back. We'll go back. Then when Allah says, and he brings it into another creation. He brings it into another creation. Another creation. Yes. I'm showing you this idea of the two. That's the two hands that he's commenting about. See, it's different because he's talking about that other creation, Ibn Arabi, about another creation, not the first creation. He's addressing the second creation. And this you will find in the writings of Ibn Arabi. You will also find it in the writings and the speeches of Imam W.D. Muhammad. So it's not foreign language to us. Those who have experienced W.D. Muhammad, you will not find this as foreign language. But yes, reading Ibn Arabi, you may find difficult. But the more we keep looking, we keep reading, we keep looking, then after a while, we get it. then this is really the area when we talk about, let's see what they say and let's see what the Imam say. Then we will have something to say. So now let's go to the next one. We look at Istakbarata. See, we're looking on different levels. What they're saying on different levels. What the Imam is saying on different levels. We find the sources to make the contrast. Then we speak. Then we teach. Study first, then teach. Istakbarata. Istakbarata. That is to say, now we're talking about vigor, arrogance, pride, so forth and so on. Arada, so he's asking a question here. Arada laka at-takabburu. Takabburu istakbarata. Where istinkafu has at-takabburu has arrogance and pride. Has arrogance and pride come upon you? Aradaleka. Is it exposing you? It exposes you. Aradaleka. I'm giving you different ways you might read it. It may be read. Yes. You're being exposed. Or you're exposing yourself with your arrogance and pride. Or you're just higher. You're just higher than him. You're just more extensive in degrees than he is. Yes, remember this line when we get to the Imam. Inshallah, maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe that's the case. فَأَجَابَ الْمَحْجُوبِ. So the one who is being veiled. See, he's being veiled because he only sees, and he has only been created with one hand. He only sees the operation of one hand. In the naming process, he doesn't see that he's been named with two hands. He's only been named with one hand. And he has taken a peek in the high assembly. He was amongst those in the high assembly. In the highest assembly. So he's responding saying, because I am higher, because I am better than he in origin. Now something we'll notice too. And I'm going to share a little from the Imam today. Then we have to go over some more verses tomorrow morning. We'll look at some verses in the Imam from the pages we're looking at. So we'll cover as much as we can. There's a lot to cover. We'll cover as much as we can because I'm trying to do two things. I am trying to educate the students on how to read the sources by reading to you. I'm reading to you the sources that you will learn how to read the sources. Later on, we'll take away the vowel marks and how to read without the vowel marks. See the words without the vowel marks. So I do this over and over. So that's one thing we're doing, and learning how to read Arabic sources related to the verse. The other is we're looking at also the teachings and the comments of Imam W.D. Muhammad as it relates to the verses. But English, I don't have to read to you. The reading, take a look at the pages. So the couple of pages, take a look at them. Tomorrow we'll go over it. We'll look at the Arabic verses. There are more Arabic verses. We relate to what we're doing here. And there's some things that we have said from the sources that we'll bring back to compare with what the Imam is saying. So, I'm better than him in origin. Yes. Due to the fact that he is unaware of his own reality. We could say his own abstract reality, his own second creation. He's unaware. Yes, Mujarrad, of his free, we could say pure creation, separate from his origin, his created origin. Yes, we created him from clay. And you created me from fire. That's our foundation. That's our origin, aslu. But now you have given him, you have brought another hand. You have brought the other hand. I'm putting it in this way to help understand what we're talking about. And you have given him another creation with the operation of your other hand. Yes. And he's unaware of it. Think about it now. Where do you see it at? Think about it. He's unaware. Even right now, when I say that there's another creation, it's corresponding, but it's not made up of the source of the first creation. Yes, that raises an eyebrow. Because we're saying, according to former philosophies, I'm going to say, that the material creation is nothing but the macrocosm of the spiritual creation of man, which is the microcosm of the macrocosm. He's unaware. No, he's unaware of that second creation, of his true reality. Now, I'm talking on the higher educational level. In the lower level, we spend, you see those who spend a lot of money and time beautifying the outer creation, that first creation, and giving less attention to his true, bare, natural, abstract creation. Yes. That he does so much to try to refine his material creation and so little to refine his spiritual creation. He doesn't even have knowledge and faith in that spiritual creation. Only in the sense of serving someone outside of Allah. Yes, he only goes to school to improve their spiritual creation because the State Department says you have to go. Maybe you'll wake up along the line somewhere. But had the State Department did not force you to go, you won't go. How do I know? How can I say that? Because there's no State Department, and I have to keep saying it, until there's a change. There's no State Department in the Muslim world that forced the Muslim to refine their reading and comprehension of the letter that Allah wrote and sent to humanity. But they'll build up great force. They seek to have great forces, great material dominance. Yes. But not become that refined, gentle human creature that second creation brings about. Yes. You have to know before you can begin talking about international politics. Know what the game is. The game is a one-handed game. A one-handed game. That's all being presented. The game of Kahl. That's the game. It's not Kahlun Waluthan. It's just Kahl. It's called dominance. World dominance. But what does he know? What does Iblis know? He knows you're not aware of your second creation. So he comes to you, as we have said, with sentiments. Come to you with religious sentiments. And you speak with religious sentiments to your audience. While the real game plan is dominance. It's not religious sentiments. It's dominance. Using God's way to dominate. Yes. We'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to get into this. So he's not aware. He's absent. And his unawareness of his bashariyah, of the sensitivities that have been placed in him that allow him to be influenced by the divine presence. And I'll make sure that he stays that way. Iblis is going to make sure he stays that way by using God's method. Yes. And I'll influence him. If he was aware of his condition, yes, he would be influenced by revelation. He would allow revelation to influence him. But how can he? How can he allow to be influenced by revelation when he doesn't even have the curiosity? I've stolen the curiosity in him to be curious about revelation and how it can influence him. I give him some of my degrees. Don't you know? Well, I'm going to say it. I have to say it. Sometimes, I guess people don't want to say things. They'll be ostracized or pushed aside. Yeah, but you know, when people say, I'll make it personal. They say to me, well, you should go get a degree. Well, you should go to the school of academia and get a degree for your religious studies. So that will give you a title. You should go get a PhD in religious studies from academia, from a college. Go get a master's degree from a college because of what you have done. Go and let the college recognize you for what you have done, and so they can place their degree on you. And in that college, yes, you'll come out and you still can't read the letter. And give you a degree. They give you a PhD. And you still can't read the letter. Giving you their degrees. And why would the religious man go to academia who separated themselves from academia? From religion. Separate themselves from religion, but you want to go get an academic title and put it on your religious body. Why don't you why don't you go and get a religious title that befits your studies? It's an academic title that befits your studies. Is there a religious word you could use? Is there a Quranic word you could use to say that I have studied? Or do I have to go to outside to another source environment and get another word that's used in that environment to apply it to myself in this environment, this scriptural environment? Yes. Or Iblis will say, oh, I'm going to get them, because they're unaware. They're unaware of who and what they are. They're unaware of their name. Go get a name for yourself. Allah has already given me my name. I just don't have the word to express it. And they don't either. They're going to give me their name. Give me my name. What's my name? If you have observed and watched and watched and watched, then what's my name? I'm just making it personal, so not to make myself better. If I do it the other way, you'll cry. I'm talking about you. So I'm using myself. Yes. So I went among some people, and they said, we need to give him a title. We want him to work with us. We've heard him talking, and we go about with him and the way he's talking. We want to give him a name that will designate that the people have respect for him, and he can help us. Yes, he's one of us. So they looked at me, and they gave me a name that befits my character. I'm saying, okay, out of the honor, I will honor the name. Someone said, hey, I see you here. Hey, according to us, this is what you are. I wouldn't dishonor the person's, the group, or the institution, but I wouldn't go to another place looking for them to name because I don't know my own name. No, I wouldn't do that. So he's not aware. He's not aware of his own sensitivities. His own creation that corresponds to another creation. He's not aware of that. Continuing, وَلَا شَكَّ, and there is no doubt that in this analogy, that the fiery animalistic spirit, the fiery animalistic spirit, which the cursed one is created from it, is more noble in the sense than the bodily, dense, material body. That's the analogy being made. Yes, there's no doubt. We understand that. That perhaps, we talked about it yesterday, so I don't have to go over it again, this fiery creature on the surface, in terms of Aslan, may be more noble, this highly rational creature with no morals, no water, just fire with no water, no air, just fire, may be more noble in the sense that he had this knowledge with nothing to check it. Just knowledge on top of knowledge, degrees on top of degrees, and nothing to check it, and use it to be dominant in the world. Perhaps than this dense, bodily, materialistic creature. But this valley that has come over this cursed one, in terms of the divine process of forming this bodily, dense creature and putting in it something of my spirit that's carrying my name, and him being spiritually refined, spiritually gentle, refined. It's being varied by all of this, has spurred the accursed. He see it, he knows it, but it has spurred him upon refusal, that he's touched by the analogy of this fiery creature compared to this dense creature, that he disobeys Allah in prostration to man. Yes. And we find that in the world today, the academic creature, this fiery academic creature, is not going to submit and recognize the man that God put together. Yes. I'm talking and I'm showing the students where I see it at as I'm talking. Where I see it at. So in Imam W.D. Muhammad, we'll look at a couple of notes to the reading in reference to what we've been talking about. And like I said, tomorrow I want to show a couple of more verses and relate, and then we'll go back. The students, I'll hear from the students in terms of the homework they will have. I'll hear from the students. But first, I'll make some references to some of the sources with the Imam tomorrow morning. We'll do the Imam tomorrow morning. It's a lot to do, and it'll take a shift from the sources. So instead of trying to put him with the sources, on Sunday, I will show the comparison. We'll make a comparison with the Imam and the sources, because there are a couple of other verses I'm just going to show with the Imam. But it's related to what we have seen with the sources. I'm going to do it that way. I think that would be better. That we kind of look at the Imam by himself instead of with the other source at the same time. Because Iblis, not Iblis, Ibn Arabi is his own thought. That's enough of thought for one day with Ibn Arabi. And the others have their own categories. So let me try to keep each category in each day and put the Imam in the category by himself in reference to considering everything that has been said. So here's the question. And that would also lead up to the discussion because you all are reading this book also with the Imam. That's included in the discussion. I want you to discuss. Now tomorrow I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to show you something, start out in the morning, maybe for the first half hour or so. Then I want to hear from the students. Does Iblis consider himself too knowledgeable? Too knowledgeable. That he has an emotional pride. There's emotional pride, and then there's intellectual pride. Two types of pride. Yes, the hint is in the question. There's emotional pride, and there's an intellectual pride. The human being, he's deceived by flesh. Yes. And Iblis recognized this, that he can be deceived by flesh because of the sensitivities that comes along with the flesh body, let's say. But we've already discussed that the flesh is not evil. No, the flesh is good. It's not evil. And the flesh is not weak. The flesh is strong. But the makeup of the flesh is very sensitive. That it can be influenced because it's clay. And clay, the clay that can be fashioned and influenced. But just as it can, and just as Iblis uses God's method. See, we had that one verse, Sadaqah. Sadaqah, and we'll get in tomorrow. Sadaqah alayhi Iblisu. Yes. I saw it that morning, and it says, literally it says Iblis spoke the truth. But perhaps it's not Iblis speaking the truth. That's what I'm going to show tomorrow. Yes. It says that, it looks like that, but Iblis is using God's method of truth. And God is revealing Iblis' scheme. And Iblis uses that, Sadaka alayhim Iblisu, in order to deceive them. God is showing Iblis' scheme. Yes. This is coming from the Imam in the sense that you may want to go back and read again the few pages that we're going to show. Because we're going to look at the Imam. He's the reformer. Is he advancing? Is he extending and advancing? What the others have said before. He's coming after them. All the sources we have, the Imam is coming after them and advancing them. Sometimes we want to put the Imam on our level and say he doesn't know. Because he's African American, he doesn't know anything. He's only telling what they say. No, that's not true. Yes. And some of us put the Imam down with our own ignorance. Yes. But I'm not going to get too much into that. We're going to show tomorrow. But just as he can be deceived in his sensitivities, yes, and he does all that he can to protect the most sensitive flesh, or that inner flesh, that heart. It's sensitive also and can be influenced. he can still be, he still, and at least know the makeup. He can be influenced by it. Allah knows the makeup too. Allah can influence you also. With revelation, for example. He can influence you with his own creation. He can influence you, Allah can influence you with your own creation. That's why the one says, the one who fatara, the one who's given me this creation in terms of my created nature, my form, khalaqa, who has created me, khalaqa, with this flesh body, and the one who has given me this nature, who has created me with this nature, can guide me. I could follow my own nature and follow my own logic that's found in my flesh body. Follow the logic of my own flesh body with all of its sensitivities if I follow it with the best mind. Yes, he's called the Hanif. With the best mind, then Allah will guide me. But if he falls to deception, he can be redeemed by those same sensitivities. Man can be redeemed by the same sensitivity that causes his fall. What a wonderful creation. Yes. And to know the difference between guidance and deception, Allah gives us the Furqan, the ability to differentiate. But perhaps we are unaware of our creation. I thank you for your time this morning. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum.